This is Disability Mentoring Day, an event that brings job seekers and prospective employers together. Here they'll discover which each has to offer, and here they'll begin to build financially rewarding relationships. Disability Mentoring Day began in the White House a decade ago to draw attention to the need to create employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Today, events like this are held across the country and around the world.
Mentoring is really about career exploration because for so long, young people with disabilities have been told about things they can't do and about jobs that they shouldn't have and avenues they shouldn't explore. And career mentoring is really about demonstrating that there are businesses out there of all types that want to hire people with disabilities.
This is a community of people that is available, ready, talented, and available to work. We're really working hard through events like this, not only to help students with disabilities understand the opportunities and the career pathways that they can pursue, but also help employers understand what a valuable talent pool they have.
Jonathan Young, an attorney in Washington, D.C., is the founder of Disability Mentoring Day.
The key insight for me to the founding of Disability Mentoring Day really was an awareness that one of the biggest impediments to increased employment of people with disabilities was uncertainty. A lot of employers simply didn't understand who people with disabilities were or what sort of issues disabilities posed. What a number of us started talking about was that the more opportunities that you can have to bring actual individuals with disabilities into contact with employers, that gave a concrete opportunity to break down some of the stereotypes and enable employers to see the potential that all individuals, including people with disabilities, have.
Disability Mentoring Day events are sponsored by the members of the Business Leadership Network. With more than 5,000 businesses involved, the BLN is dedicated to enhancing employment opportunities for skilled candidates with disabilities.
More and more employers are recognizing that they've got a labor market shortage that's coming down the pike with the aging population, the aging workforce, and that there are a lot of folks with disabilities who want to work, who haven't been able to get their foot in the door.
Currently, 70 to 80% of people with disabilities are unemployed. We want to see that number drastically lowered.
People with disabilities represent the single largest minority group seeking employment in today's market. About 50 million Americans, over 19% of the population, have some level of disability. We're going to meet a few of those people now. When Cathy joined the military, she didn't expect to be joining the ranks of disabled vets. Like them, she was faced with rebuilding her life and finding acceptance in the workplace.
My grandpa was in the Navy. I wanted to be like my grandpa, and I figured he would be proud. During active duty, I was in about 2 years, and I was carrying in some equipment on the balcony, and I ended up flipping backwards, and my head landed on the cement. In the blink of an eye, when you have an injury like this, nothing inside of you has changed, but everything physically has, which means that a lot of your world is closed. At first, I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to stay in the house. I live with my mom, and there's a college right down the street, So she's like, "You're going. I can't write, I can't take notes, But I adapted. Then I started bringing a laptop to school. The more I started to learn and the more I really put myself into it and tried, the more I owned it, the more excited I got about it, the more I wanted it. I graduated with honors.
Like many of our returning vets, Cathy received care and rehabilitation through the Veterans Administration. But vets are also coming home with non-apparent disabilities like traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder. Those kinds of disabilities can make the transition to civilian life just as difficult as Cathy's.
You have so much to give that if you're not giving it, you're not reaching your potential, you're not fulfilling your purpose. And I was wondering if you had any working opportunities or opportunities for general contract. Sometimes I think employers view you as a liability. What if something happens? What if I fall out of my wheelchair? What if this? What if that?
It's simply a fear of the unknown. It's a fear that there might be accommodations that they're not going to be able to meet. There's a fear of extended absenteeism. There might be a fear of higher insurance costs. And I think research has indicated that none of those factors are true. In fact, people with disabilities are more loyal employees. They have lower insurance costs, lower rates of absenteeism. It's an incredibly loyal workforce.
I started volunteering with children, where I would go to a school, just kind of visit at first. But of course the kids would have a bunch of questions automatically, the way kids are, you know. Can you do a turn? What's up? What happened to you? I saw your leg move. You know, you're a faker. You know, just any question, you know. But that's kind of where it got started, where I wrote a book. I went to the library and I looked on the internet for like a book about disabilities for young kids. And they didn't have any. So I wrote my own. Hey, okay? Hello? Good boy.
As Kaney's story shows, living with a disability requires ingenuity, problem solving, and determination. Qualities that really add to a potential employee's skill set. In our next profile, a shrewd employer recognized their value.
I was disabled when I was 20 years old. I was actually in a diving accident. I was at a cabin with a bunch of friends, and I dove off a dock and became a quadriplegic. I was actually 2 years into my schooling here at the University of Minnesota, and it kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know if I wanted to continue down the engineering path. I took a year off of school, and I just kind of rehabbed, got myself back motivated and, you know, able to get around.
We had fundraisers that raised money so he could buy a car, so he could learn how to drive, and oh my goodness. I mean, thinking of him driving was like, ooh, but
yeah.
He is a good driver.
And he is, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and it's that independence thing, and yeah.
pretty amazing.
The worst thing about the disability is just getting around. You can't really, you know, get in between people. You gotta have somebody, can you move? Can you do this? Can you do that? On a personal level, I hope everybody just sees me for me and doesn't see me because I'm in a wheelchair, but I don't know. I still have stuff that can help a company and can be an asset to people.
Through disability services, he saw some brochures and whatnot, went in and applied for an internship at Medtronic. He was given the opportunity, and that was wonderful in itself. Got him a chance to really see what was going on in the real world outside of school.
Right, it's in everybody's best
Yeah,
interest.
yeah. I told him we're not looking for you guys to do more testing. That's not our goal in this whole thing.
For that first summer, he fit in really well with our team. We really needed a lot of help on our data analysis and other things. So that's how I got to know him, was through that intern program.
I've been fortunate enough to have a couple internships at Medtronic and got myself out there and learning a little bit about the medical device industry and stuff like that.
It was clear that Bill was very interested in the internship and making a good impression with us. So he had the right, essentially the skill set, the right behavior, the right attitude for the position. So it was really a treat to work with him.
After completing his internship, Medtronic offered Bill a full-time position. He had worked hard for it, and Medtronic recognized that he brought value to the company because of, not in spite of, his disability. Now, we'll see how people with non-apparent disabilities can also face challenges in their pursuit of education and employment.
I am a unique, dynamic individual who happens to have a non-apparent disability, which is bipolar disorder, and I have slight learning disability.
We knew that she could do the work with the teachers being a little bit more empathetic, not sympathetic, empathetic. And oftentimes, because the kid's disability was non-apparent, it was believed that we just had a bad kid.
Zakiya initially had a difficult time dealing with her own disability, and Zakiya did not want too many people in the outside world to help her. And we were determined to help her. I think she saw that I had her best interest in heart, that I was not out to change her, but to enhance some of the qualities that she did have, because she had some outstanding qualities.
Ms. Cuffey spoke to some of her management on behalf of a lot of her kids that were, up until a certain point, was discarded, and she said, no, they shouldn't be discarded. These are people.
My husband and I were always fighting on Zakiya's behalf, taking it wherever we needed to talk to whoever we needed to talk to.
When I went into college, my parents were advocates for me. They contacted the student with disabilities, helped me get accommodations that I needed, note takers, longer times on tests, projects, things of that nature. But still, I didn't want people to know it was like a bad word. I didn't want people to know I had a disability.
Thanks to Ms. Cuffey's early efforts and her parents' advocacy, Zakiya excelled in college, ultimately earning a master's degree. Zakiya was accepted as an intern by Booz Allen Hamilton, a public relations and marketing firm in Washington, D.C., but she never disclosed the nature of her disability.
I met Zakiya last summer. She came to Booz Allen for an internship. And from the minute that we interviewed her, we knew that she was very energetic. She was very excited about working in diversity. She brought a lot to the table. We knew that she was going to have good ideas. And so not only was I her supervisor, but I ended up becoming her mentor. I'm legally blind. I have something called Stargardt's, which it's similar to macular degeneration. It causes your retina to deteriorate. I was very open with Zakiya from day one about my disability and let her know that, there's going to be times when you'll need to let people know. And I had to realize that what was comfortable for me wasn't necessarily comfortable for everybody.
For me, I see my disability as actually an advantage. I think it's an important part of who I am. I think that if I were to work for an employer, I'd want them to know up front. But I do have a physical disability, and I understand that it's different for people with hidden disabilities.
We really try to encourage people to be proud of their experience as a person with a disability and find ways to talk about it that gets other people excited and makes other people comfortable talking about it.
I didn't come to terms with my disability until fairly recently, and now I want to help promote and implement diversity into organizations focusing on disabilities. And I want to go around the country and just help employers find the answers to questions that they have about persons with disabilities, and help the person with disabilities find the answers that employers are looking for, and kind of help bridge that gap so it can be a win-win situation for everyone.
Persons with disabilities are going to face obstacles as they enter the working world. Zakiya and Bill were helped by having a mentor. And educators and employers are finding other ways to smooth the transition from school to workplace. A great example is the American Sign Language course that's offered to businesses by the Maryland School for the Deaf.
Maryland School for the Deaf educates deaf and hard of hearing children. One thing I believe that the Introductory American Sign Language course for businesses provides for students is an opportunity to mingle within the quote-unquote hearing world. They have an opportunity to become a teacher, if you will, of their own language, to provide awareness of the deaf culture, deaf etiquette.
We'll start with the alphabet. Is everybody excited?
Some businesses try to make changes to better serve deaf customers or hard of hearing customers.
And I think employers are also realizing there's a large market out there, people with disabilities and their families, and that if they hire people with disabilities to work for them, it's going to give them insights into that market, just like hiring women gave them insights into the women's market, or hiring other protected classes can give them insights into other markets.
Best Buy discovered an eager talent pool in the deaf community, and at the same time, an untapped market of new customers. It made great business sense from every angle.
Best Buy is phenomenal. They wanted to know what Best Buy could do to serve their deaf customers, how they can communicate better with them. They've taken numerous ASL classes with us. They provided a website link just to inform the deaf community when their employees who know sign language will be working.
I enjoy working here. I work as a cashier. It's easy to communicate with customers. It's not bad. I'm able to help my hearing workers who try to communicate with deaf people.
We've received feedback from some customers that just have had interactions in the store that they're very pleased that they could sign with somebody. They're very pleased that there are people here attempting to sign to them to help communicate in the language that they're most used to.
More and more schools are preparing students with disabilities to assume important roles in the workforce. Anoka Technical College and Ridgewater College in Minnesota have created manufacturing camps to introduce students to state-of-the-art technology.
We have students from around the area who have various disabilities. So what we are trying to do is allow them to get a feel for drafting, machining, welding, electronics.
I'm at this camp to learn about welding, design, and manufacturing.
We have an office for students with disabilities, and we're really committed to helping them succeed.
In the machine shop, we do mold making, die making, CNC, the computerized numerical control. So they're getting to run all the equipment we have. Right now, the automated, the CNC equipment is really a huge demand. There's a lot of job openings. Students are finding a lot of work.
The economics of a camp like this are very important to the workforce here in Minnesota. We need graduates with a variety of skills, and there are lots of jobs in the manufacturing careers that fit a variety of individuals.
At the college level, organizations like Career Opportunities for Students with Disabilities help students gain work experience while still in school.
Employers are specifically looking for students with disabilities, and what we're trying to do at COSD is make that connection easier so that employers are able to find the students more effectively and more quickly. And one of the ways that we do that is with our product called COSD Career Gateway, which is an online nationwide job posting and student resume database system that's specifically focused on college students with disabilities.
This one is page 130. Okay?
Schools are also preparing students with developmental disabilities to stake their claim on the American dream. Tony doesn't have strong verbal skills, but he has a lot of other qualities that could make him a valuable employee.
Tony is developmentally delayed. He probably reads at second grade level, does some third grade math. Those kinds of delays are significant when you're looking at an 18-year-old young man.
Tony is a very gentle, kind young man. He's been in a number of our classes to work on his independent living skills, his daily living skills, really exploring the vocational component as he transitions from high school into the world of work.
He'll be attending the transition program that our Forest Lake School District will be expanding next year. So Tony is going to work on how to live independently or semi-independently someday.
Hi Tony, how are you today?
He had a work evaluation in the community where he worked at a dry cleaners and did really well, and we learned a whole lot about him. He's personable, he's social, endearing, he's polite. He's very motivated and a charming individual.
Tony's part-time job gives him an opportunity to learn basic work skills and earn a paycheck.
The thought is not just let's get them out of high school, it's how can the school system, how can the county case managers, how can rehab services all work together to transition them to the point of adulthood when they need to be more independent and doing things on their own, but helping them find the skills and tools to do that.
To feel like you have some independence and some control over your life and some, something to be proud of. And I really hope for him, someday that he'll be able to have like a job or a family or things that I think that everybody wants and I know that he wants. We've talked about it many times before.
My son Mike is 22 years old. He no longer attends our local high school. They got him the job over at the grocery store where he's been now for 4 or 5 years. For him, employment is really a lifeline to connecting to people and to being a part of our community and to being a part of society. He feels so much better having a job. He loves having money in his pocket. He loves being able to have an ATM card and going to Subway and treating himself to a sandwich.
So supports are increasingly available to help students of all abilities find their place in the workforce.
Because of external factors like stigma or accessibility, kids with disabilities have to work harder to get the job, and they have to work harder to get to the job. And once they're there, sometimes they have to work harder to be recognized for the job. But they don't have to do it alone. They have partners. They have those, service providers or vocational rehabilitation programs or community advocacy programs or employers that really get it. And mentors. I mean, that's why mentors are so important, because they don't have to do it alone.
Along with our schools, employers themselves are advancing initiatives and leveraging new technologies to support their workers with disabilities.
I get on the city bus by my house, take that over where I catch the light rail. So I get off at the main terminal, go upstairs, get on the crew bus, and then I get here. I've compensated well for my disability. If I was thrown in a new city where I'd never been before, it wouldn't take me long to figure out how to get around. This is Mike, how can I help you? I'm a reservations agent. I'm on the phone all day, pretty much, taking calls from customers. The computer is equipped with a speech program called JAWS, and then it's got a braille display. Okay, and did you want a morning or afternoon on the 9th? But those are the two tools that I use with the computer, and it makes it really efficient. Everything comes through my headset. Nobody knows that I'm even using it when they're on the phone with me.
Fair quoted to log my agent RW/Minneapolis Northwest 10645.58.
I started here at Northwest 8 years ago. It's a wonderful place to work, and especially because of the people.
As a global employer, it's important for Northwest Airlines to hire a diverse workforce. It's important for us to hire people with disabilities. It's good for our bottom line, and in the end, it's good for the community that we serve.
Life is a challenge to me, and it should be, but it wouldn't be good if it wasn't challenging. In my book, everybody's got a disability of some sort. It's just that it's not obvious to everybody, Nobody's perfect.
Technical skills are important, but what about the artists? Nick Solar wants to support himself as a musician, and he's well on his way. He found a mentor and a job working alongside other artists with disabilities.
I'm not like most people. I mean, I am in the sense that I'm a 22-year-old guy, but I'm not normal in the sense that I'm blind. I don't see things the way normal people would see it. No joke intended there. I knew where I belonged. In a sense, I belonged in the world of music all my life. I don't know why. That's just the way I am.
Cool chord.
Thanks. I use it every chance I get.
I've never played it before.
Miles Davis tune?
Oh, okay. Working with other people, I think, is a real big thing Nick could do. Helping other people, because whether he knows it or not, he already knows more than probably 90% of the planet when it comes to playing music. I mean, truthfully.
Take it home. Come on.
Interact Center for the Visual and Performing Arts is an art center for artists with disabilities, where the art that they do, whether visual arts or performing arts or both, they are paid as they would be as professionals.
On his own, really, he started singing and playing the piano at some of our local coffee shops, and
getting his own gigs.
Put together a demo of sorts and went around, and he was instrumental in marketing it. He's good at that sort of thing.
Take it, man.
He's got the music thing. He's also got a lot of passion for humanity. I mean, he wants to kind of, make connections. Oh, I know that person, and that's going to serve him well in life, I think, is having a passion for people, because I think music is a universal language.
I believe in magic. believe we each can do all right. I believe.
The remarkable pool of talent in the disability community is hungry for an opportunity to show what they can do. Discrimination is gradually giving way to appreciation as employers discover the skills and abilities of workers with disabilities. As we've seen, companies with the foresight to invest in employees with disabilities are seeing the benefits of increased productivity, loyalty, and greater organizational performance. And thanks to internship and mentoring opportunities, people with disabilities are increasingly ready, willing, and able to work.
I believe in magic. I believe the blind can see the light. I believe in magic. I believe we can all do what's right. I believe in magic. I believe we can all do